What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only NIO stock, what you should be looking out for the future. I'm also going to do some in-depth technical analysis and give you guys my price prediction for tomorrow and talk about the hypothetical situations, as we are seeing NIO a little bit down today, but it also depends on the overall market. I'm also going to talk about a very historic fate that NIO has reached, and that is the fact that they have passed 200,000 cumulative EV deliveries. Let's go. That's absolutely fantastic. I'm very proud of the company, and I see this as a massive catalyst for the long-term future as their deliveries keep on improving and improving. I'm also going to be ending this video by talking about what NIO put on their Twitter page that still is very bullish news, as they have fantastic customer service and amazing things that will really drive in their brand and their products going forward. Now, before I break any of this down, I do have to mention a couple of things real quick. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Don't take any of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire NIO community as a whole. And the last things, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you're guaranteed 6 free stocks, each worth up to $2,000. And you could always sell these 6 free stocks for cash and use that cash to buy some NIO shares for free in this limited time offer that ends in just 3 days. So please check it out before they run out. There are only 3 days left to get those 6 free stocks. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So looking at NIO, this thing was down about 4.59%. Now, don't necessarily lose it just yet, because if we zoom out over the last couple of days, if I go to the daily candles, you'll notice that NIO was at $11 a share back around the middle of, what was that, like May, around mid-May. And since then, we're currently at around $22, $23. So we still are very green compared to where we were before. But when we do see lots of parabolic moves to the upside like that, seeing some downside is just normal, it's typical. And I do want to talk about some important zones that will affect NIO going forward, because NIO is moving with the overall market. And what's very weird about this market, I wouldn't say it's weird, it's just very kind of exaggerated. That is how the market has been moving in unison. I mean, if you see the SPY, the NASDAQ, they tend to be moving almost exactly the same. And other companies out there like NIO are kind of getting dragged down or up depending on them as well. So if I actually go back to the SPY, we're at a very important zone right now. So if I zoom out, let me maybe use the 5-minute candles. You'll notice that the SPY has this gap down here, which would take us to about 378, but that's not guaranteed to get filled just yet, because we also have the gaps all the way up. Let me see if I can find it right here. There's still that gap for the SPY to fill that would bring us all the way up right here to about $401 a share. So we're kind of like in the middle right now. Which way are we going to go, up or down? And to me, I do think up is still a little bit more probable for Friday. I still think it's very possible. But before we get there, right, we have to look at the possibilities. So the SPY, let me actually zoom out again. The SPY is at a very key zone, okay? We have this inverse head and shoulders that formed. It's holding up pretty well, but we need to hold above that $386 range. That's a very important range. I just wanted to call that out for you. So let me actually draw out a horizontal line and show you this. So we want to see the SPY hold above this line, okay? It has to. If it doesn't hold this 385 to 386 range, if we drop below it, there's a risk we end up dropping pretty hard, and we could end up dropping to 378. It would kill a lot of momentum. But as of right now, we've held it pretty darn well. And as long as we hold this range for the next few days and we start to push up a little bit, $400 is not out of the question. It still is very possible for the SPY to push to the upside. Now, if that's the case for the SPY, what about the NASDAQ? Very similar. As I mentioned, the SPY, the NASDAQ, the overall market have a tendency of moving in unison. We have this island gap right here that formed with this inverse head and shoulders formation. We're still respecting it. I want to see the NASDAQ essentially hold above that 11,450 range, maybe a little lower than that, but as long as we hold around 11,400, we should be pretty okay. I don't want to see us drop below that to where this red line is. If we do, there's a risk we'll end up filling the gap and dropping pretty hard. So with that said, I do think the gap up here for the NASDAQ is very likely to still get filled. As of right now, we haven't shown the signs of us just dropping that hard. And That would bring the Nasdaq just a little bit more breathing room to push up later throughout the week. With that said, there is some potential for NIO to push up a little bit more, but we are at that very strong resistance zone, which would be around that $24 range. We were basically there and we got a rejection off that, and we are starting to drop a little bit, but the next key support to look out for is that 225. So if I could draw this out for you, just to note, we need to hold I think I said 225. I meant $22.25. Sorry about that. $22.25. That's the key support zone, okay? We need to hold that. If we can't hold that, there's a risk NIO is actually going to fill this gap way down here to about that 20.87, 20.8 range, and then NIO could start to drop a little bit and maybe cool off just a little bit because this thing has been very hot over the last couple of weeks. So just a possibility. This is what you need to look out for. Let me just show you the possibilities first before I actually give you my prediction. All right, so if we are looking at NIO, here's what you need to look out for. So you got to watch the SPY in the Nasdaq. If the SPY drops below this key zone, then NIO could start free falling. Like I said, it's very important to note that. But what is the key zone to look out for NIO? Well, NIO has a bunch of support. We have our strong support at around that 22.25 range. I'm not sure why the line disappeared. Hold on. 22.25 around right here. So we want to see NIO hold 22.25. If we can't hold 22.25, it's very possible we could actually start to drop a little bit, and we might end up kind of like filling the gap down here to that 20.8 range. So that's very important to look out for. Let me just draw it out as a possibility. And let me actually zoom out of the chart first just to show you a better angle. But that's just the more bearish possibility. It is still something to note. Do I think that's going to happen? As of right now, I think it's unlikely, but it is something to just keep in your mind. Now, what would happen is NIO would trade like this, and then it would start to drop. And this is just a possibility. I'm not predicting this, just a possibility. And if we can't hold this 22.25 range, we're going to drop down to the high 20s. And it could get see some pretty red moves, which is completely fine considering how much it's been in the green, but that is something to look out for. 21 would be a key zone, not to mention the 20.8 range. Now, if the market ends up pushing up and NIO actually manages to hold the range, what could happen is, and I'm going to change the color in a second, we hold 22.25, we manage to just trade a little sideways. And if the market sees a little relief tomorrow, it's possible NIO pushes up to about that 23.99 range, gets rejected off that, trades kind of sideways, and we manage to get a close around that 23 range, maybe the low 23s, also a more bullish possibility. Now, what do I think is more likely for tomorrow? I think each of these are really a possibility considering how green NIO has been, but I do think that the blue line is a little bit more probable. We could be a little bit in the green tomorrow because the market's already green in the after hours, and we might actually see a little bit relief after the red we saw left and right all over in the market. So that's essentially what I'm predicting, but once again, my predictions aren't always correct. You should be prepared for this bearish possibility as well, alongside that potential gap fill on the way down, which is not guaranteed, but it is a possibility that you should be prepared for. With that out of the way, I want to talk about this right here. NIO's Hong Kong Singapore shares hit new highs as outlook brightens, and that is a very good sign because since we saw these listings coming out, we saw NIO's share price really soar, and on top of that, we are seeing this right over here. NIO surpassed the 200,000 cumulative EV deliveries. Very, very good, and I did think that this would be very good for the share price, but we didn't necessarily see this really improve as of right now. And to me personally, I think this is absolutely incredible to see NIO, performing this way. And I think a lot of people are excited as well because it just goes to show how much they keep on growing and growing and growing, and how much they are going to actually reach these potential, projections when it comes to more and more deliveries, which will cause the share price to go up in the long-term future. Now, when it comes to their SUVs, we're seeing them actually expanding into Europe and more other countries out there. To me, another very bullish indication because a lot of new investors and new people out there are going to be learning about the new cars. So for me personally, I'm looking out for deliveries to come out by, I think, July 1st. That's going to show us the June data, and I think June should be a pretty darn good month for NIO. I think it should be pretty decent, and I do think they're going to do quite well. Now, with that out of the way, I want to talk about this right here. You can see on NIO Global, NIO tweeted that right over here, NIO's worry free service package makes servicing your vehicle convenient and easy. NIO can come to you for any of your service needs. So if your battery runs out, they're here to help you. Once again, very awesome for them to have these amazing services. And I think that this will be very good for lots of investors, lots of people out there, because this on-the-go service feature is going to be even better for those long road trips or if something else happens. Very, very awesome. Once again, amazing customer service. I can't wait for what the future holds. And with that out of the way, I want to thank you all for listening. So remember, I went over the two main possibilities. Please be prepared for anything, because the market could be kind of capricious sometimes. Sometimes it's unpredictable. But at the end of the day, we know that the long-term future is still bright for NIO, for the EV sector, and I'm still very, very bullish long-term. With that out of the way, thank you for listening. Have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. NIO to the moon, and peace out.